Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Clemson Tigers continue the momentum on the 2024 high school recruiting trail, landing a really interesting offensive lineman in Ronan O'Connell from Tennessee, 6'4.5", 290 pounds. Digging into him, there's a lot to like about Ronan O'Connell. One, state finalist wrestler. I love offensive linemen who have a wrestling background. They know how to play with leverage. They know how to use their hands. Also an 80-inch wingspan. This is a guy that's played guard and tackle at the high school level, but you know he has the length to play tackle. And so getting an offensive lineman who is versatile, you can move around in a college football landscape where offensive line depth has become such an issue with the transfer portal, which Clemson does not really struggle with that much. But depth in general, having a guy that can play guard, can play tackle if you need him to, I think is really valuable. And you see Ronan O'Connell's ranking, 3-star on 24/7 Sports. There was a lot of big-time offers, big-time players for Ronan O'Connell's commitment, and Clemson and Tennessee have had a lot of battles on the recruiting trail in the 2024 cycle. Clemson beats out Tennessee for Ronan O'Connell, and I think if you're a Clemson fan, this is a really good take. This is the first offensive line commitment in the 2024 class. We're going to get into the film a little bit on Ronan O'Connell, then take a look at what this 2024 class looks like now and what it could look like at the end of July, because, I mean, this June for Clemson was massive, and July could be a pretty good month for Clemson too. Now, before we get into it again, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Clemson fans. We just broke down Clemson's team heading into 2023. If you guys want to go check that out, I'll link it as well. But the Clemson fans have been absolutely awesome. And if you guys do enjoy the content, you like talking ball, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, the support from you guys, the Clemson fans, has been absolutely awesome. I'm trying to cover as many of your guys' commitments as I can. And on July 4th, we get one in Ronan O'Connell, I should say. Let's get into it. I want to take it right to the film because you're going to see, like, this is just kind of a Dabo guy, right? 80-inch arms, all-state wrestler, and he plays with a little bit of a mean streak, which is what you absolutely love. And another thing I want to note is he's a phenomenal athlete. Like, they're going to ask him to pull a lot. They're going to ask him to block at the second level a lot. And he has that athleticism to do that at a pretty high level. This is a guy that's not afraid to get physical, throw his body around. But again, the athleticism and how he carries that 285-pound frame is what I think is most impressive. You're going to see him, again, working to the second level, picking up a linebacker, and busting a big run. That is something that you see a lot of offensive linemen struggle. As we pause the film real quick, you see a lot of offensive linemen, and there's kind of two breeds of offensive linemen coming out of high school since I've been kind of covering the recruiting trail. Is one, you just got the monsters, right? The guys who are 6'7", 350 pounds, and they got a lot of size, and there's a lot of upside there. And then you get the ones who are a little bit, maybe you got to develop a little bit in the body, but are the athletes and the ones that can play in space. And I tend to like the athletes better because you can put on weight when you get there to school and put it on the right way, and you still have that athleticism. And that's kind of the sense I'm getting with Ronan O'Connell, who has a pretty good frame already, right? 6'4.5", 285 pounds. But what I like the most is, like, the feet keep moving. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he has that mean streak in him. Like, he wants to finish blocks. He wants to put people in the dirt. And again, working up to the second level is where this guy really thrives. And I love that in an offensive lineman. You see the athleticism. You see the power he has in his hands. Again, working up to the second level, carrying this guy to the parking lot. Lots to like about Ronan O'Connell. Again, 3-star. But I think this is a good get for Clemson. And taking a look at, we'll take a look at the class as it stands right now. And what a phenomenal month of June, right? Sammy Brown, Brian Wesco, TJ Moore. I love what they're doing in the wide receiver room. And you get Christian Bendecourt, who is, I don't think I said that name right, I apologize, who's been in the class since January. But Brian Wesco and TJ Moore provide a lot of juice on that offensive side of the ball. And then you've recruited the state of Georgia extremely well, right? Ricardo Jones going down, getting a safety. We've talked about that. We like a lot. Heaven Brown Schuler, who's been committed since April. You'll like him a lot as well. But you haven't really recruited. I mean, I shouldn't say you haven't recruited the offensive line spot yet because it's early, but this is the first offensive line commit that you land in Ronan O'Connell. That being said, there's a couple more offensive linemen that might be committing in July that I think you're really excited about for Clemson, right? You take a look at who they had on campus, and Clemson's kind of a tough team to get a gauge on who they're really in it for because they only have that one official visit weekend. They have a ton of kids show up. Casey Poe has been a top target. He looks like he's going to Alabama. but there's a couple of guys that you're really excited about, right? William Satterwhite, this is much more of an interior offensive lineman, top 200 guy from Akron, Ohio. He's trending towards Clemson, and there's a lot to like about his game. And then Fletcher Westphal. This is one of those guys that he's just a monster, right? Coming from Virginia, 6'8.5", 335 pounds, and it kind of depends on the flavor that you like, right? You get a guy in Ronan O'Connell who maybe you have to put a little bit more weight on the frame, but it's a good athlete. And then you bring in a guy in Fletcher Westphal who you can't teach the 6'8.5", 335-pound frame. And so you're getting a nice blend of offensive linemen. You land all three of these guys. You get Ronan O'Connell on the ship. You finish with William Satterwhite, and Fletcher Westphal. You feel pretty good about this offensive line that is a group we talked about heading into 2023, I think can be really good, right? You saw a really young Clemson offensive line in 2021. They played Georgia. They were outmatched physically. And then in 2022, it got meaningfully better. In 2023, you're pretty optimistic that this offensive line is going to kind of be back in sense of like they're going to have some physical dudes. You lose a guy like Jordan McFadden. But other than that, you keep a lot of these guys, and there's a lot of young cats that you're really excited to take that step. And the 2024 class in terms of offensive linemen coming along pretty well for Clemson. And talking about a few other guys that I have my eyes on for Clemson, and I want to go back up and talk about the 5-star wide receiver, Mike Matthews, who that's another Tennessee-Clemson battle from what it sounds like. And you could throw in a lot of teams. I know he took a visit to USC. I know Georgia's in on him. He's when you're talking about a top 15 dude nationally, one of the best wide receivers in the country, bona fide 5-star, you're going to have a lot of teams in it for him. If they can find one more wide receiver, and you talk about Brian Wesco, TJ Moore, and you sprinkle in another wide receiver, you're really liking where this wide receiver room stands. Defense, you have some good defensive linemen already in the mix, and that's something that, man, if there's one thing I'm not worried about Clemson recruiting, it's the defensive line. You bring in Peter Wood. You bring in a really good defensive class in 2023. Peter Woods sounds like he's going to be an absolute freak as a true freshman. You're feeling pretty good about this class. And again, going back to Clemson's class as it stands right now, Darian Mayo is another guy I would definitely throw in there as someone you're really excited about. This is only their 14th commitment, but they're sitting at a top 10 class overall because of the quality of players they brought in. If this class gets up to 20, you're looking at a top 8, top 5 class. And something we've talked about is if you recruit a top 5 class and you retain all these guys and you keep them out of the transfer portal, something that Clemson has consistently done at a high level, like keeping their guys in for 2, 3, 4 years. And you look at a guy like Tyler Davis or Xavier Thomas staying with the program, I think that's massive. And you don't need to recruit the number 1 class in the country if you can keep all your guys in there for 4 years. And Clemson and the culture they've built, they certainly do that. So even if you do have just a top 5 class, if you're a Clemson fan, you feel really good about what that class will be in 3 to 4 years because a lot of those guys trust the process. They trust the culture at Clemson and are going to stay, and you're not going to have too much attrition in the transfer portal. Again, Clemson getting a really good one here in Ronan O'Connell, a class that, from what I've heard the scouts and the coaches say, probably not the best offensive line class that we've seen. You're getting a guy that has a lot of upside in terms of athleticism if you can fill out that frame. Really, really good get. He's a wrestler. That's my kind of guy. So, again, wanted to round it out on that. Appreciate you guys for rocking with the boys. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal July 4th holiday. Appreciate you checking us out, and we'll talk to y'all later.